a liability in my position at Teacho. Darryl Hull did not include this information in his email dated 5 March. And then Dr. Hutchinson goes on, it's not a valid or logical or fair reason for terminating my employment, etc. And then next paragraph, if there was to be an issue with the Royal Commission or relocation of the corporate function, should have been addressed objectively and openly. And then, well, in a nutshell, she is complaining about the decision to terminate her employment and asks that it be reconsidered. Now, why did you say that Dr. Hutchinson's employment should be terminated because of her membership and association with the union?
I didn't.
Right. Was that have you written back, or have you written a letter expressing that position?
No.
All right. So what did you say at the meeting on Adelaide Airport on 4 March?
With respect to that,
yes,
it was a context of a range of conversations about the need to move the business back to Sydney for the reasons I've outlined earlier in terms of strategy and corporate stuff. We had been trying for 12 months to get traction with Blue Card. The board had reached the conclusion that one of the problems was we were still too closely identified with the union. There was a sense that by moving things back to Sydney, inviting me to be more involved in it as someone who was not associated with the union, that might assist in getting traction as part of a range of other initiatives as well. I can see that Dr. Hutchinson may have misinterpreted that as me suggesting that her role with the union was an issue. But that was not the intention. It was a misunderstanding. The issue was that it would be good for us to actually have, again, a little bit further distance for the purposes of marketing and strategic and corporate work between Teacho and the TWU in any event. I might say that Dr. Hutchinson and I have spoken since then. She was upset about the termination of her employment. I was very upset about the fact that we had to go through this together because as the independent chair of a part-time board, it was never my intention to find myself dismissing people. It's not the way I felt the chair would work. But if someone had to have the conversation, I felt I should have to have it rather than send the TWU over. And we met at Adelaide Airport, she's quite correct, for the purposes of a long discussion about the direction of the business, of which this was a small part in the conversation.
Right.
Although since then, I might say that she was upset, I was upset. We both calmed down, we both talked it through. We both agreed that it was an emotional time for both of us, but we worked our way through that, and there's now a very successful transition program in place to achieve the outcome with which I'm certainly comfortable, and it is my understanding that Dr. Hutchinson is also comfortable.
And was the Royal Commission discussed at the meeting at Adelaide Airport?
It would have been hard not to discuss it. It had been announced at that time, and I think there was a general sense of concern about what would be the implications for Teacho in its acceptance in the marketplace, even through, for example, my appearance here today to explain factually what we do, simply because we had endeavoured to simply let Teacho get on with the job. And the Royal Commission obviously shines a spotlight on who we are and what we do and why.
And was the concern that, or was your concern that, or the board's concern that Dr. Hutchinson would be seen as a person with close connections and affiliations with the TWU?
I think the concern was that if there were to be commentaries made about Teacho at any level or in any form whatsoever, one of the challenges that we would face is Dr. Hutchinson's close relationships with the TWU over a period, even though from my point of view and hers and certainly the board's point of view, that in no way affected her ability to do her job, which up until that stage she'd done extremely well and very competently.
I see. So, and you thought, or you or the board thought that the way to deal with that would be to remove Dr. Hutchinson from her position?
No.
But isn't that what you told her was going to happen on the 4th of March?
But not because of this. Not because of the Royal Commission.
Well, it was because you say that Teacho is going to move to Sydney, partly, but also because to have more weight or gain more appreciation, it should have the appearance of being less connected with the TWU.
The decision to move to Sydney was a purely financial decision in terms of not having enough funds to be able to maintain both Dr. Hutchinson and myself doing corporate and strategic work in Sydney. That was the underpinning reason for the decision. When we discussed the future of the business, we talked about a range of factors that had all come together at the same time, unfortunately, because we were trying to do the business before and separate to the Royal Commission's existence. And I just said I think it adds an extra factor in the situation, which just makes it even more challenging for us to deal with Teacho as an ongoing business trying to build an industry forum.
And it was just coincidence, was it, that factor emerged at that time?
Total coincidence.
But the existence of the Royal Commission had some impact, I suggest to you, on the decision to terminate Dr. Hutchinson?
No.
None at all? In respect of either the decision or the timing?
Not in my view.
Well, that view isn't consistent with Dr. Hutchinson's